Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and guess what? Today is Bible study time, so let's get into it. The title of my message today is When All Odds Are Against You. Now, the other night I was watching a movie on Netflix. The movie is really good. It's called The Hill. If you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend you go and watch it. As I was watching the movie, God just began to speak to me. And in the movie, they referenced David and Goliath a lot. So I'm going to be reading from there. But before I do, I just want to give you guys a quick background on the movie. The movie is based on a true story. It's about a boy who have a dream to play professional baseball. His dream is to go to the majors. Now, that's great, but the only problem is when he was born, his parents were told that he wouldn't be able to walk. And also, he needed to have operations, and the doctors said, he probably won't even make it through these operations. Well, anyways, he ended up making it, and he ended up being able to walk. But the only issue is he had to have braces on his legs in order to walk. Now, when he was around the age of 9, he took those braces off because he felt like they were limiting him and they were hindering him from being able to do what he loved, which is baseball. His family was surprised, that he could walk without the braces, but he was. And over time, he just started getting better and better at baseball. Now, his dad did not want him to play baseball because his dad felt like God is going to do something else with you. God is going to do something greater with you, because you could tell that Ricky was anointed. He knew the word, and he knew the word at an early age. Mind you, his dad was a pastor, but his siblings didn't know the word like he did. So you could tell that it was something different about him. And his dad, was thinking that God was going to use him to do something mighty on that level. Not baseball, because his dad couldn't see past his condition. Well, anyways, when he was in the 12th grade, he was at a major game. His dad, up until this point, even at that game, his dad had never came and watched him play before. But anyways, he was doing great at this game. But unfortunately, he tripped over a water sprinkler. And when he did, he tore the ligaments around his ankle. So he needed to have surgery. The surgery was $7,000, which is something that his family didn't have because they lived in poverty. Now, people at the church donated for his surgery, and even other people around the town, but they still didn't have enough money for him to have this surgery. On top of that, he also had a spinal disease. He had the spine of a 65-year-old. So it just seemed like he couldn't catch a break. It just seemed like all these obstacles and things were against him, especially against him playing baseball. But he still believed he could, like he still had that dream inside of him. It was a big trials that was coming to his town. 2 months before the trials came, his employer told him, "I will give you the rest of the money you need to have the surgery. I'll write a check and give you the money." Now, his dad was upset about this because his dad felt like, okay, now if you go and continue to play baseball, it's just going to do more damage and cause you more hurt. So his dad was totally against it. But anyways, he ended up having a surgery. And after he had the surgery, he only had a few weeks to heal so that he could go to the trials. He ended up going to the trials, but he was not completely healed. So the big scout that was there really didn't want to see him. He was like, "Come back next year when you're healed." But Ricky was like, "No, it has to happen now." So the man in the movie, the scout, his name was Red. So he was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to give you a chance." But he was giving him a chance, really thinking that he was going to fail. But to just get him out the way so that he would leave him alone, okay, we'll let you try out. We'll give you a chance. So anyways, he ended up trying out. He did really great. And at the end of the movie, it tells us that he went on to play in the minors, and he played 4 years. But due to his spine disease, he had to walk away from it. But he ended up being like a coach. So that was great. So anyways, his dream did come true. Now we're going to get into David and Goliath. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read the whole story, but I definitely recommend you going back and read it because it's really good. But right now, if you could just go to 1 Samuel 17:33. It says, "Don't be ridiculous," Saul replied. "There is no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth." Now, if you jump all the way down to 50, it says, "So David trumpeted over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone, for he had no sword. Then David ran over and pulled Goliath's sword from his sheath. David used it to kill him and cut off his head. So basically with this story, it talks about David defeating Goliath. But when you look at it in the natural, you're like, it's no way that David can defeat Goliath, because for one, David is a boy. And the only thing he have is a few little stones. Goliath is a man who has a reputation for winning wars. That's why nobody wanted to come up against him. And also he have a sword and he's a giant. So it's like all the odds were stacked against David. But David had faith. David believed that he was going to defeat Goliath. So he didn't care what nobody else said. In his mind, he knew he could do it. And so that's what he stood on. So my first point is believe. And we know that believing is basically having faith. And having faith comes from by hearing the word of God. One thing about it, we know that David defeated Goliath because he believed he could. So he did. With Ricky, he believed that he was going to play professional baseball, and he did. He didn't care about the obstacles that were against him. You know, the Bible tells us to have childlike faith. And with childlike faith, when you're a child, you believe all kind of things. You believe you could be a doctor. You believe you could be a lawyer. You believe that you could be an astronaut. But what happens is, as time goes on and different things come up against you, you no longer have that same faith. You no longer believe. And so that's what stopped you from accomplishing the dreams that God has given you. But in this world, a lot of things is going to come up against the promise that God has made to you. That's why you have to stand firm on what God has told you and believe what he has told you. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if your rent is due and you have not paid your rent and now you're facing eviction. I don't care if you have rent to court for eviction. As long as God told you your rent is going to be paid, then guess what? Your rent is going to be paid. Before the police come to escort you out, that rent is going to be paid. So that's what you would just have to trust in. And I don't care about what nobody else say, because people might tell you, you know, you might want to start packing because you already done went to court and you know you're getting evicted. Like, you probably want to start packing your things. No, if that's not what God has told you, then don't move. Stand firm on his word. And that brings me to my next point. And my next point is, everybody don't see the vision. What God has given you, what God has told you, everybody is not going to see it. Saul told David, it's no way, it's impossible, it's no way that you're going to defeat Goliath. Even Ricky's own daddy couldn't see that he could do this, that he could possibly become a professional baseball player. And that's because he couldn't see past Ricky's condition. But mind you, his dad is a pastor. That means he is a man of faith. That means he believes in miracles. But even he could not believe that his son would grow up and be this great baseball player. And that tells me that sometimes God will block the vision from other people seeing it. It's because God has given the word to you, and he wants you to hold on to that word, no matter what it looks like, no matter what somebody else say. See, he don't want you to have trust in other people's opinions and what other people think. He wants your trust to be totally in him. He wants you to rely totally in him and what he has told you. My next point is, God will provide provision. He had provided the provision that David needed to fight Goliath. When David was fighting the lions and the bears, God was equipping him and preparing him and giving everything he needed to face Goliath. And the biggest thing that God gave him was faith. Faith to win. He knew that the same God who was with him when he was going up against lions and bears will be the same God who was with him to face Goliath. He knew that God was going to give him the victory because his God was a faithful God, a loving God, a God who would never leave him. And also we see that with Ricky, God gave him the money that he needed to have the surgery. And also with Ricky, God put the right people around him at the right time. When Ricky was wavering with his faith, when he was thinking, well, you know, maybe I should give up. Maybe this dream is not going to come to pass. He's put the right people around him who would speak life to him, including his girlfriend. His girlfriend would never let him give up on his dream. She always spoke life in him, and she always, you know, just made him believe that he could do it. Okay, so my last point, power in the mind. Now, we all know the scripture, Proverbs 18:21, that says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. So we have to be mindful of what we say. You know, we have to watch what we speak, because whatever we speak, we're going to get life to. But what you speak was first a thought first. It first entered your mind. So whatever is negative that's entering your mind, whatever negative thoughts you have, you need to cast those thoughts down. Because if you dwell on them or ponder on them, then eventually they're going to come out. And when they come out, you're going to give life to them. So that's why, you know, it's just important to be careful of the things that we meditate on. That's why it's important to meditate on the Bible. Because if you do have a negative thought, you can cast that thought down and cancel it out and replace it with a word from the Bible. So if the devil say, oh, you're sick and you're going to be sick your whole life. No, because the word tells me that by Jesus Christ's stripes, I'm healed. So that's what you have to hold on to, and that's what you have to do. Around COVID, I decided I wanted to be a homeowner. So I spoke to my husband and I was like, it's time for us to purchase a home now. So we went different places. We went looking around, you know, trying to see what type of houses were out there, the pricing on the houses, and just trying to get our feel what we want in a house. Well, really me, because he don't care. I'm picky. He just, whatever I say, he good with. So anyways, I had wrote my list. I wrote down exactly what all I wanted to have in my house, how I wanted my house to look on the outside, what neighborhood I wanted to be in, and everything. So finally, you know, I was ready to go apply. So I applied and I was denied. I was denied because of my credit. So I paid different people, and I say people because I paid one company to help me fix my credit. They didn't do a good job, so I had to find somebody else. So anyways, and I also ended up paying like some debt off as well. So my credit score went up. It was looking good. So now I reapplied and I ended up getting approved. Okay, so thank God for that. Okay, so that's good. I found out, you know, exactly what we were approved for and how much we would need to put down. So the next step was, you know, we came up with the down payment. Okay, so good. So now we're looking for houses. But now that we're looking for houses, we're pretty much out of COVID. Well, COVID is still going on, but we're out of lockdown. You know, things are becoming back to normal. And now the prices on the houses are increasing. So now it's hard trying to find a house because none of these houses that I was looking at before are in my budget. They're not in my price range. So anyways, my realtor, you know, she would take me to look at different houses, but none of the houses were the ones that I, you know, really wanted. And every time she saw one on hard, like as soon as it get on hard, you know, she would contact the realtor and they would be like, no, the house is not available no more. Like these houses were really going fast. So mind you, my approval for the loan was only good for 3 months. Now we in the second month. So now I'm like, I don't know, you know, I don't know if we're going to get a house because I'm not finding what I want, and I'm not just going to settle for no anything just to be a homeowner. Like, no. And I know what God told me. So, no. So, we continue to look. But one thing God did was soften my heart about where we were going to move to, because where we end up moving to is not the area I wanted to stay in. I was actually against the area because it's where I'm from and it's where all my family stay. And I actually like staying, you know, a little distance from them. But my kids, they really wanted to move to the area because that's where all their family at, all their cousins and aunties and uncles. So they wanted to move there. But God ended up softening my heart. So I was like, well, okay, well, you know, well, maybe it won't be so bad because I will be around my family and, you know, maybe it'll be a good thing. And once I became settled and became okay with moving to that area, next thing you know, God revealed the house to me. And it actually was a house that I had been seeing on hard. But every time I see the house, I would just hurry up and pass it because, for one, it wasn't in the area I wanted. And plus, the pictures was not appealing. I know that's why a lot of people was passing the house up as well, because the pictures showed an unfinished house. It didn't show how the house looked once it was completed because they were actually in the process of still building the house. So, anyways, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I should go and see the house. So I was just like, I'm just going to go and see. And my sister had went with me, and when we got there, like, the house was unlocked and everything. Mind you, I didn't contact no realtor or nothing. I just went there. So we went there and we was looking around in the house, and I was like, oh my God, this house looks so good. Like, I saw the potential in the house. It had everything I wanted. So I was like, you know what? I think this is the house. So as soon as I left, I called my realtor. It was on a Sunday. And she contacted the realtor who had the house up for sale. And they was like, yeah, you know, it's available. We don't have any offers. So my realtor hurry up and put the offer in. And they end up accepting my offer. So I was like, that's my house. That's the one. And everything ended up going well. Now, my closing date got pushed back like 3 or 4 times, but that's because of some things that needed to be taken care of on the buyer side. But anyways, I ended up getting the house and I love it. And I was just like, God is so intentional. Like, he had this house for me all along. Like, this house was being built for me because everything I wanted was in this house. And God made sure that no one else was interested in this house. And I realized the reason he wanted me to go back to this neighborhood was because I can get closer with my family, and so I could start doing Bible study. On Wednesdays, we have a family Bible study at my grandmother's house, and everybody come over and I just teach them the word. Now, if I was staying farther out, I wouldn't be doing it. So now I understand why God allowed everything to happen how it happened. And I'm so grateful, you know, that I was obedient and that I did decide to move to this area, because a lot of my family members are coming to Christ now and like really being more serious about Christ. So I'm just so happy, and God is so good. And what's for you is for you. Whatever dream God has given you, always keep faith. Always believe in that dream, because whatever God has promised you, as long as you have faith to believe, it will come to pass. God is not a man who will lie. God stands firm on his word, and sometimes we don't even deserve the promises, but he'll do it for his name's sake, so that he will get the glory out of it. Even when I think back on the story about Ricky, I was thinking, why God did not give the desire and the talent to his older brother? Because nothing was wrong with him. He was in perfect condition, perfect health. But it wouldn't have been a miracle. It was only a miracle because it was Ricky and because all the odds was against him. A lot of times we're thinking that when God giving us something, it's supposed to be easy. Sometimes it will be easy, but a lot of times it won't be easy, because that's when God get to show you who he really is and what he's capable of. He get to show you miracles. If it was easy, it wouldn't be a miracle. So I just want y'all to always have faith and trust in God. Whatever he told you will come to pass. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's Bible study. I love you, but remember, God loves you more.